thing. To get started, you can just look at a primitive cylinder like this. Let's turn on polyframe. Come down to initialize. Let's see here, initialize. This is basically just a parametric object. We're going to set the V divide to 6 and the H divide to 8. And that gives us this. And really all we want is this middle section, and that's just the easiest way for me to do it. And then so make polymesh 3D, turn perspective off, take the center section, delete hidden. We can turn on the floor. Right, so this is, it is important that this be facing straight up and down. So I'm going to do this. That's about what we want. The trick is that I want it flattened a little bit this way, but and I could do it without looking at it from the end, but I really like to look at things from the end when I'm doing that. And the problem is when you look at it from the end, you can't see it. So if you go under dynamic subdivision, turn smoothing off and turn thickness up like this, and then what you'll get is there's still just one polygon. It has no thickness. It's a dynamic subdivision is giving a little artificial thickness. And I'm just going to select or mask everything except those center polygons and bring them together like that. We can then turn dynamic off and look at this from this way. And now we're ready to create our insert mesh brush. So hit Q and then B, and then create insert mesh brush. You could make several brushes. You could make a round one for arteries and a different one. So after we do, this one's going to be new, but if we made another one for arteries, when we made the one for arteries, we would say append, and then we would select this brush and would add it on. And now what insert mesh brushes do is really useful and has, for especially for building tools and stuff, but it just allows you to insert these, right? Well, we don't want to insert them, we want to draw them out as a stroke. Well, there's a mechanism to do that, and what you do is you go under stroke, turn on curve mode, and turn on, let's see here, turn on all of these right now. Bend start, bend end, lock start, lock end. Under, now when you draw it, curve mode's on, that's all right. It's going to do that. So let's make this bigger, make bigger draw size. So that is not exactly what we want. And the reason is that, and that has to do with the brush, how the brush is applied to the stroke. We want it to weld the points. So click weld point under brush, and then just click with move the cursor over until it turns blue, and click back on the object, and it will weld the points together. Okay. Now, a couple of basic things about drawing. If you want to extend the path, you can just move the cursor towards the end until you see this little bit of, see the extension that's happening there? And now when you keep drawing, it will draw the path out farther than you can do it to either end, right? If you move the cursor off, if you hold down the shift key and click, you're smoothing the polygons that are attached to the stroke. You don't really want to do that generally at this point. What you want to do is you might want to smooth the path. And so the way to do that is to click on the path first, then hold down the shift key, and now you can smooth the path, and it will eventually smooth it out until it's a straight line between the 2 points. Also not very useful, but it will be later on. And and then lastly, the thing to do is how do we accept this? How do we make it just happen and be polygons that we can use and bridge and do everything else with? The way you do that is you just click off the object on another object, and that will remove the path, and now it's there. The trick is that if you switch tools, if you switch to the move tool and click, it's still there. And so the only way to drop that, and that was very confusing for me when I sort of started, is to do something like this. And then click on it like this. Now these are just polygons. All right, but before we do that, what I also want to do is I want to taper this, and that's also under the stroke palette. And so what we're going to do is we're going to come in here, and where's my stroke palette? Curve functions and curve. No, it's not curve functions. It's curve modifiers. There we go. Click size, and then change it so that it's 100. It goes from 1 to 0. To 0. There we go. And now when you click on this, it will taper it all the way down to nothing. So that's essentially the brush we want, right? we want to be able to draw a perfectly tapered brush like that. And so let's say we wanted to draw a slightly smaller brush all the way around here. All the way, let's say we want to draw it all the way around the object. Let's do that. You could do this. Right, and it's just going to continue to add on to the end of that. So that's the principle. Let's say we like, now let's move this in a little closer. There we go. And the size of you make this brush is the size of the influence it will have. And I'm just changing this by hitting F to get the draw size. Yeah. So now I can click once on that and to accept it, and then I can keep drawing over here. So that's the principle that we're going to go on, right, for drawing these vessels. Yeah, I think this is it for now, and we'll cover the other things in the next demo.